Hey everybody, so I'm at the 20,600 mile mark with my EV6 GT, and I've had it since mid-February 2023, so about 9-10 months or so. I feel like that's long enough to kind of get a feel for the car and give an honest review of it, and I really like it. It's been an excellent vehicle, it's been reliable, it's been durable, and it's been fun as hell, to be blunt. First of all, let's start with kind of the elephant in the room. It's a Kia, and a lot of people are kind of like, whoa, that's a bit pricey for a Kia. Well, it is if you're thinking about Kia from 2010 or so. But I've owned a lot of nice cars in this price bracket in the last couple of years. I've had a 2022 Acura RDX, A-Spec Advance, Volvo C40, RAV4 Prime, XSE, and a 2019 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring Reserve. And I'm here to tell you that the quality of this car stacks up just fine for what it costs. The panel gaps on it are immaculate. They're mirrored left to right perfectly. You see the clamshell hood here. Move over to the other side. The gaps are identical. Look at the lines on the body here. Even where it transitions from the front to the rear door, it tracks perfectly. Roof line where the doors meet, tracks perfectly. Kia did a very good job assembling this car, and I'm pretty picky. We'll get into that here in a little bit. So, long story short, the quality is there. The paint's just as good as what was on my C40, just as what was good as on my RDX. The interior is where we start to see a little bit of cost cutting. I love the seats. That's not where they cut cost unless you count that they're manual adjustment only. Yeah, manual adjustment only on a car of this price is kind of wild. I don't mind it because I'm a single driver household, so it's not a big deal. Dash display, excellent. It's not quite as high def as what you'll find in perhaps a Mercedes product, but it's plenty good. There's no issues with it whatsoever. The seats, they're a imitation suede, as are the door cards here, and a lot of people say, oh, that's gonna wear badly, it's not a good idea. Well, here's my driver's seat after 20,635 miles, and it's fine. No issues whatsoever with wear on it. Looks great. This is a really high traffic area for me right here, this little armrest bolster. And you can see that it looks just fine. We'll compare it to the other side real quick, see if there's any kind of disparity in it. I'd say that's kind of the highest traffic area right here for me on the suede, and it's fine. So our back seat room, plenty of room back here. I can sit behind myself easily. Got good headroom, excellent leg room. The headroom with the sunroof, it can get a little dicey for people over 6 foot tall. You may have to lean back a little bit, but the leg room is spectacular. So let's talk about the other elephant in the room, range. This thing's rated 206 miles of range. And the new one, 2024, is rated at 218 miles of range. They didn't change anything, they just re-rated it, and both of them are a lie. This car, I've managed to drive about 210, 215 miles in it, and still had, I believe, 18 or 19% left. It was calculating a range of 255 miles. And that was just on my daily commute in good weather with no rain. My typical charges to 80% in the summer resulted in 185 to 195 miles of range. Has no problem with range. Excellent range. And in the winter, I'm getting, in 30-degree weather, I'm getting about 165, 170 miles range off at 80% charge. If I charge to 100%, that turns into about 210, 220. So that 206 mile range may be in freezing weather, you know? I don't know. I'm not sure why they rated it there. That's where they rated it. I wouldn't let that dissuade you. I would consider 206 about the minimum you're going to get out of the car unless you're driving it in GT mode and just really having a fun time. So the tires on this comes with Goodyear F1 Gen 3 SUVs. I didn't like that. I changed it to these Michelin Pilot Sport All Season 4s right out of the gate. And they are flat out amazing. I've pulled 3.6 second 0 to 60s in the rain in this car with these tires. In good weather, 3.39 0 to 60, and that's including the 1 foot rollout. Without the 1 foot rollout, it came in at, I believe 3.18 or 3.19. That's at 85% state of charge. It accelerates like a beast even when it's not at 100%. The quarter mile time that I've personally achieved in it is 11:43 at 120 and change. Again, 85% state of charge. And you may be asking, well, what does it do when the charge is low, like 30 or 40%? Well, at 35%, I ran a 12 flat at almost 114. It's like 113 something. It was 65 degrees out that day. That's still moving. 12 flat at 113, 114, that's moving. So performance is quite good, quite good. Did a 1/2 mile event in it and managed, I believe, something like 18.17 or 18.19 seconds and 142.95 miles an hour. These motors that Kia's developed, they're 21,000 RPM motors, and they just keep pulling. It's a 1-speed transmission, unlike the Volkswagen products, like the Taycan and the Audi e-tron GT. It's a 1-speed, and man, it gets it done. So this is your trunk space. They call this an SUV. It's more of a wagon. You can see right through here. That's going to cut into your cargo space a lot. And up front, we have the frunk. And I don't think anybody is going to be bragging about the frunk in these cars. It's pretty abysmal. It's just enough to store some of the things that I think are necessary. So, here's the frunk. I've got some jumpers, got a battery, and I've got a level 1 charger. I felt that was necessary for road trips and things like that. You know, end up at a friend's house, you can slow charge it for days until you achieve your state of charge that you're looking for. That's a Clipper Creek model, and I really like it. They don't make them anymore, sadly. Everything else looks pretty standard and car-ish. Kind of cool. They have a fuse box here. And in here, you can easily pull the fuse that makes the noise when you drive. I don't recommend it. It's not legal, but you can. It's clearly labeled, and all it affects is that and the charging started voice that tells you you're charging. So you can do it if you want. I wouldn't. It's illegal. Anyway, let's talk about what's gone wrong in 20,000 miles. So I had a persistent rattle in the back of the car and a fluttering at freeway speed. It drove me absolutely crazy. Took it to multiple Kia dealers. They replaced a rear shock. That wasn't it. There's a pressure relief vent behind this panel. Has rubber flaps, and when the cabin pressure changes, they flap, and also they can catch some air from outside the car here. That creates the rattling from hitting bumps and them flapping closed and open, and it also creates the rattling from a little bit of pressure change from the outside versus inside and the HVAC system, etc. It can rattle a little bit. Really annoying for picky people like me. I wish Kia would work on that, change the design, etc. Although it's not an abnormal design, it is loud, specifically in this car for my taste. So there's that. And the other issue I've had with it, at about 11,000 miles, and again at about 19,000 miles, I had some popping coming from the front end. It was really loud, metallic, sounded terrible, and I didn't like it. I thought the thing was coming apart, so I took it to the dealer. Immediately they said it needed a replacement shock or strut up front, so I had that done. It went away, and then it came back again, like I said, 18,000 miles. I think what it was, both times it happened after I washed the car really well, and I think what it was me washing some water underneath a sway bar bushing or an end link bushing and it popping. That will create that sound. Other complaints. These headlights, they're not adaptive. They don't have auto leveling, and they're not projectors. I don't know what they're doing in 2023 with an LED reflector, non-auto leveling, non-adaptive headlight, but here we are. They're bright enough, plenty bright, but on mountain roads, they just don't suffice. They don't illuminate the hills and the curves nearly as well as I would like. Kia really needs to work on this. We need the matrix headlights here in America. That'd be nice. Again, looking at those lines, Kia assembled this car absolutely beautifully. Excellent job. Very good workmanship on it. Absolutely as good as my Volvo, Mazda, RAV4 Prime, and way better than my Acura RDX, which was really, really bad for fit and finish. Really bad. And then we come to average energy consumption in this car. It's really not bad for what it is. Yep, those are the correct tire pressures. 34 psi in the front, 39 in the back. That's what you're supposed to do. It's my average. Over 20,635 miles. I've averaged 3 miles per kilowatt hour, including all my nonsense. So what's the other complaint about this car? Well, I'll tell you, it's the radio. A lot of people complain about the radio. Here's how to fix that. Go to position, bump it back a little bit. Go to your tone, set it up like this. May even take one off the bass there. Go to your premium sound, your Meridian Horizon Custom, set it up here, like this. You can drop one off of imaging and move it a little forward on the other if you want. That will give you some excellent sound. Probably can't tell over the cell phone, but we'll try it out. Right. Not bad. So, what do I think of it overall? Well, I love the HUD. I love the performance. I love that the range is absolutely a lie on the window sticker. It does really well in the real world. I love the fact that the acceleration of this car absolutely matches car and driver, road and track, etc. on the nose. I get what they say I should get out of it, and that's really cool. Some cars, I've never been able to come close to the magazine numbers. This thing, easy. I love the traction. The handling is amazing. The suspension on this car was designed by Albert Biermann from BMW's M division. and he did an amazing job. Corner's extremely flat for its weight. You do feel the weight. It will push on you a little. These Pilot Sport All Season 4s are way better tires than the Goodyears it comes with. I highly recommend them. They hook up in the cold, in the rain, and in the dry really, really well. The other thing about the suspension, it is adaptive. You can change it with your drive mode here. You have Sport. That stiffens the suspension up and relaxes the LSD in the back. It's an adaptive LSD, the ELSD. You can turn to Eco. That disables the front motor except in low traction environments. And the front motor can actually disconnect the axle so you're not turning dead weight. Really cool. It does give a little better efficiency. And normal mode, which kind of softens your throttle input. But normal and sport mode both clock the same 0 to 60 at about 4 flat. It's kind of interesting. And then you have GT mode, and it says traction off. It's not really off. It's just really relaxed. It lets you get some wheel spin, but it will still limit you. I've floored it on some slick roads in the rain, and the 0 to 60 is like, it's like 3.9, 4.2, and it's not spinning. So I know the traction control is still active. It's not completely disabled. Then you have My Drive mode, and you can set this up in the car. Whoop. You can set this up in the car to tune your suspension, your motors, your ELSD, your traction, everything. If you want it to run as stiff as possible with heavy steering, but in eco mode, you can do it. I run mine very similar to what Albert Bierman runs his in, which is everything set to kill, but with the suspension in normal mode. I find that works pretty well. Actually, I'll show you here. Set that to sport. It does change your motors to normal. I don't like that. It's kind of funky. You gotta make sure that you get all the things you want here done correctly. All right. That's kind of where I leave it. Gives me a little intermediate mode with some safety nets and not quite as stiff a suspension as GT mode. Kind of cool there. So, long story short, it's been a great 20,000 miles. A few little hiccups here and there, mostly caused by my OCD nature and the fact that Kia's dealerships are extremely variable in their quality and customer service. I've been to Kia dealerships who literally did not have the correct machinery to change the tires on this car. Their tire machine could not remove the tire without damaging it, and they wouldn't even attempt it. Literally, they had one of these on the showroom floor, and they didn't have the equipment to work on changing the tires. It's absolutely nuts to me how a franchise can get away with that. That dealership has since built a new dealership, so on and so forth. That's great. Kudos to them. But that kind of blew my mind. You're not going to find that with BMW, Mercedes, etc. You're just not. And that's one of the drawbacks to this being a Kia. If I had to pick a drawback, that would be the drawback. So other stuff, you've got physical buttons here for the seat warmer, the on-off button, and the gear shift, if you will. And you've got some buttons here. This is also a point of contention for many people. They don't like that. Radio and HVAC on the same thing. I don't really like it either. What you can do is you can do a lockout, which will... I've selected radio. It'll stay there for a few seconds, and then it'll go back to climate control. So I always am on my climate control because I can adjust my radio on my steering wheel. That works fine. That's what I do. That's kind of my way around it. It does have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, but it's not wireless. Again, I think Kia dropped the ball a little bit on that. But here we are. So those are the main complaints I hear about this vehicle online, and I think the biggest one that it doesn't deserve is the range. It's a lie. This thing does 250 miles in good weather, uh, with normal driving. Um, it's it's not 206. But anyway, then you have also your sunroof. It's not a full pano. My RDX had a full pano. It was really cool. Really don't miss it though. I like that you can cover it in this with an opaque cover if you don't want it. That's nice. The HVAC system has been fine. And I live on a dusty road. As you can see, one of the things I really like about this car, it's very well sealed. In my Toyota RAV4, you would actually get some dust intrusion here in the back. I don't think the seals were quite up to snuff. You can see here, very well sealed. The RAV4 would have, white dust all through here. This is just whatever from opening and closing the door. Anyway, I hope that y'all have enjoyed this review and that it's been kind of a different thing from, hey, got this car for a weekend, beat on it, it was really fun, Kia said, that's cool. We love those reviews, but I actually own this car. I've driven it for almost a year, over 20,000 miles. And, everybody's entitled to their opinions. Some opinions are worth more than others. And you can take this for what you want, but it's coming from someone who's owned the car for 20,000 miles. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all are safe. And I hope y'all have fun out there.